So the problem was on the bottom of this bowl here for the float, there's a little drain. This thing here, a little gasket that was in here was shot, so I just replaced that. I'm going to put this back together and see if it leaks. And then we'll start it up. It is cold out here. It's about 30 degrees. And the wind's blowing. Okay, so I just put the carburetor back together. And it doesn't appear to be leaking, so I guess we're good. So I'm going to try to start this now. I may not get my famous one-pull start because when I took the main jet out, I think I got it out of whack a little bit, so I may have to do a further tweak. As I mentioned, this is a 1973. It does not have the rubber ball primer. So to prime this, you have to push this in and roll the engine over a couple of times. Like this. I did it a few extra because I had the carburetor all apart. Okay. So let's see what's going to happen. Full choke, throttle's on halfway. You got to kind of pull this thing like you mean it, because if you don't, it'll half fire and rip the ripcord back. So let's see what happens. Sounds to me like the fuel mixture's off a little. Too red. Although it's pretty responsive. We'll let it warm up a minute before I do any tweaks. I'll put the air box back on. Okay, so now I want to explain what I did, and it's kind of hard to talk so you can hear me while this thing's running. As you noticed when it was running before, it had that little pum, 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 pum in it. That means that it's rich, on the rich side. And you can tell that by when I put the choke on a little bit. If it was too lean, it would have run a little better, and it made it worse. So all I did was I took this adjustment screw right here and turned it about a quarter of a turn when it was running. Actually, I did it a little bit and then a little more to try to lean it out, because what your goal is, you want to be able to move the throttle from like an idle position to high and not have it sound like it's choking or losing power. It should have instant throttle response. And in a second I'll start it back up again and show you what I was talking about. But it's kind of hard to talk over this because it is pretty loud. Also, it is a tad on the smoky side. It was a little low on oil. I put some more oil in. It's in the operating range, but it's kind of on the higher side of the operating range. But you got to keep in mind this thing is 40 years old and it has not had an engine rebuild. So I think it's done pretty well. And the only thing that's been rebuilt is the carburetor and that recoil, because like I say, if you don't pull it right, it'll rip it back and then it breaks the recoil. Does not have an electric start. Alright, so now I will start it up and demonstrate what I'm talking about with throttle movements, and that's how you can tell whether you've got your fuel mixture adjusted properly. Luckily, this is an old machine and you can actually adjust it. Most of the new ones are non-user serviceable and you cannot adjust them, and typically they run lean. So you got to run them choked, half choked for 10 minutes till the thing warms up. But anyway, I like these old machines, so I'll start it back up and show you what I'm talking about.